When sanctions, political pressure, confidence, and a smile were used by Western leaders to try to solve problems, things seemed to be going smoothly. But then Russia faced the truth. This Ukraine war has been much more difficult than experts and Western leaders thought it would be. It's been going on for a long time and has had many unexpected turns. There have been a lot of surprises in Russia's war in Ukraine, especially for people who thought they knew everything there was to know about Moscow. The advice and decisions from the so-called experts haven't exactly been stellar. These are the same people who are advising today's leaders, but their understanding of Russia seems frozen in a time capsule. They've been giving bad advice that has led to even worse decisions. Just look at the most recent cases. At first, the smartest people thought Russia would never break in. John Meimer and other experts said that Putin had no plans to attack Ukraine. Mentioning Russia's logical desire to avoid an expensive armed clash, concerns about NATO growth and taking over Ukraine would cause problems in the long run. He thought that Russia would only act if extreme situations made them do so. Putin probably didn't want to attack Europe after learning this. Also didn't think an attack was likely because they were holding on to the hope that sanctions and negotiations would keep the peace. Spoiler alert, they didn't work. Intelligence agencies thought less of Zelensky and Ukraine and more of Russia and its president, but they were right when they said Vladimir Putin would order an attack. At first, US intelligence agencies thought Ukraine would quickly fall to Russia, similar to how Afghanistan fell apart during the Taliban resurgence. However, Ukraine's situation was different because Zelensky led a strong resistance, and the US and its Western allies provided extensive military, financial, and logistical support, which they did not provide Afghanistan during the Taliban takeover. This high level of support significantly strengthened Ukraine's defenses, allowing them to resist Russian advances. Without this support, the capital likely would have fallen within days. Later, when Russia was struggling to reach its goals, the same experts who at first doubted the invasion could argue that they were right about one thing: Russia would face big problems. Many experts and NATO officials said that Russia's actions had only made the West more determined, allied NATO, and increased the military presence in Europe, all of which Russia wanted to avoid. However, the war has also shown that there are problems between the US and its NATO allies, including disagreements over military aid and economic problems caused by sanctions against Russia. There are also worries about US leadership and decision-making within the alliance. A corner the bush shakes with the tiger's last blow. Germany's Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which was supposed to double the amount of Russian gas that Germany got, was shut down after it was damaged in a terrorist attack in September 2022. This ended any hopes of it becoming operational, which would have caused higher energy costs and economic problems. Going up, there are many ways that rising energy costs have hurt the West. Europe, which relied heavily on Russian oil and gas, felt the effects right away when Russia cut off supplies in response to sanctions. The West thought that the sanctions would bring Russia to its knees, but instead, Russia expanded its trade and sold cheap oil to China and India. The Bank of England, the ruble, was maintained by quick action. Russia got more energy. Having a market base in Asia has caused a lot of trade to change to the yuan and the ruble, lowering its reliance on the US dollar and keeping its economy going strong. The West completely overestimated the power of economic sanctions. Russia was ready to ride that out. They thought that the flood of weapons into Ukraine would quickly change the balance of the war, which is a big reason why the conflict has gone on for so long. With the US and the rest of the West sending $60 billion in military and economic aid, supply chains are already thin. It's become much more expensive and difficult than they thought it would be. On the other hand, as the war goes on, Russia's military strategies have become more flexible, especially by increasing production. Russia asked Iran for help fixing up old military equipment and got drones like the Shahd 136 and the Mahsa 6, as well as short-range ballistic missiles. This partnership improves Russia's ability to fight and saves longer-range missiles for strategic strikes deeper into Ukraine. In the meantime, India has become Russia's second-largest supplier of restricted critical technologies like microchips and machine tools. These exports have grown quickly in recent months, reaching $95 million in July. This makes India the second most important supplier, after China. This is happening while Russia's allies try to block other routes, such as those through Turkey and the UAE. India and other new hubs, Malaysia and Thailand, are now well known. At the same time, the Allies have tried to limit sales, but India has become one of the biggest buyers of Russian oil. Russia has cleverly gotten around sanctions by buying technologies from third countries that can be used for both civilian and military purposes. Often, these goods are bought through networks of middlemen or Western companies' subsidiaries, which may not know that their products are being used to keep Russia's military strong after 2 years of sanctions and pressure. Russia has found ways to keep up its war effort in Ukraine. Now, let's talk about Russia's air plan. In the early stages of the war, Ukraine's well-coordinated air defenses provided by the West made it hard for Russia to gain air control. The limited use of precision-guided weapons coupled with a reliance on ground-based artillery led to high collateral damage but didn't secure decisive control over time. As the war dragged on, Russia began incorporating newer missile systems and cheap drones, allowing for more targeted strikes and a shift in battlefield dynamics. By 2024, their Su-57 stealth fighters became a pivotal force, conducting over 40 airstrikes into Ukraine undetected by NATO-backed defenses. They're ramping up production too, planning to grow the fleet to 45 jets by the end of the year. Pair that with the K-69 stealth cruise missile, which has been used to hit crucial infrastructure like the Tripper power plant in Kyiv. The missile's stealthy radar-absorbing materials make it hard for defenses to stop. This shift in Russia's air power has made things tough for Ukraine, even with NATO promising to send F-16s. Now Ukraine has to deal with stealth fighters and precision-guided missiles, which are a whole new level of danger. In short, Russia has found ways to keep putting pressure on Ukraine, which is not what the West had in mind when they started this. The experts were wrong. Russia isn't going to give up anytime soon, and the war is still going on.